So this section here, is that what you do, or do I? Is it gonna end up coming back?
We're gonna do it together. The big thing is the contract reporter.
Yeah.
I believe the town's gonna have to have that account.
I have
and
an
you will-
account there.
Yeah, you will be placing the advertisement up when it's all approved, but we're gonna be helping you get all the documents together. Hey, Joe.
The top page is existing conditions, and then the bottom three are evaluation of alternatives.
And yourself settled will be introductions. So there's one more person we're waiting for. Okay. Bob, okay, cool. So, just so everybody knows, this is our project engineer, Joe Heffernan, who's helping. us out.
Nice to meet you. Easy to remember.
Yeah, we got another Joe. Yeah.
Husband's Joe, son's Joe.
And then I also have the structure justification report. I think that was sent over you guys already. I don't know if you guys want a hard copy
We
of
can
that.
keep it.
That's what I sent you all. Yeah.
But if you have an extra hard copy. I'll
Yeah.
put mine. Thanks.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
Good.
A little cold.
Just talking, thank God we don't have what Buffalo has, right?
Wow.
What was the final count? Like 3 feet?
No,
It's still going.
Yeah.
several communities have 60, some have 65, and they're expecting another 12 tonight.
Mm,
And it's two different storms, right? One off of Ontario.
Downtown Buffalo has 1 inch.
We could get
Go ahead.
All right, so thank you everybody for kind of joining. This is a status meeting for the Oak Summit Road Bridge New York project. And it's not meant to be a formal thing at all. We're just, we're meeting today to make sure we can go through all of the items that have been accomplished so far, get everybody here on board with what the next things we're going to be doing are going to be, and talk about some of the items that are going to be going to DOT this month, basically. So quick overview of our completed items. The survey for the project has been completed. The geotechnical evaluations, where bedrock is and what the soil.
Make sure those mics are on. The buttons on the bottom.
It's,
They're on. Okay.
Yeah.
he's got it.
So the geotechnical report will be in our hands this week. And that will be part of everything Joe and I are going to use to the design, the actual structure. And then the structure justification report was delivered a few weeks ago before Thanksgiving to talk about what we came up with as the best structure that can be placed, and a little bit of conversation about the alternatives that we're going to be proposing. So the items that are still in progress, this is the design report. And despite as thick as this is, it will continue to get thicker as we add more parts to it. This is the next deliverable that's going to be going into the DOT for a full comprehensive review. It will be split into different parts, and DOT will send it out to various departments they have, their traffic department, their environmental department, and then the regular LPU, which is the local projects unit folks that we met with. they're all going to look at every component of the design report and make sure everything is within all of the requirements for the state, requirements for the processes that are involved with this kind of use of money. Right-of-way, so the right-of-way acquisitions that we had talked about, getting easements and where we would have to purchase land, that's done in 2 phases. The first phase is called incidentals, and the second phase, which we're not at yet, is called the acquisition phase. So the incidental phase just started this fall. Our subconsultant is Barton LaJudas, who's doing all of that work. They're going to be doing the title searches, the deed research, and making sure that the areas that an easement or a fee taking is required, that all of the land, we have actual ownership. We know what is town ownership, what is private ownership, and then we will draw up the maps, what those takings would look like.
What is the fee ownership?
Fee ownership and fee taking is an actual acquisition.
So we
So,
have to pay somebody for.
right, there's privately owned land and the municipality has to pay money for a sliver of land that's needed for the project. And then the easements is just to have rights to be on that property for various reasons. The easements we're looking at are temporary, so they last for 2 to 3 years and then they go away. It's only for the construction of the project so that people can walk around and be on private property while the construction is going on.
Is the bridge gonna be the same width?
Approximately. Yeah, it would be a little bit wider, right? We're going
Slightly. not
slightly
wide.
wider.
Yeah, not much wider.
So we probably don't have to buy anything from anybody.
There's going to be, I think in both cases, which we're going to go over the 2 alternatives that we have here, there's going to be the potential for fee taking, a small portion on one of the alternatives, a larger fee taking if we do alternative 2. And I'll explain all of that stuff. So that process has all begun. The environmental and ecological is still continuing. I just talked with the consultant that we're using for all of those items. That will be concluded later in the month, and that will be packaged into this report. And the same is being done for the cultural resources portion of that, which is historical significance. We always have to clear all of those items. We put together a package of information that then goes to the DOT. The DOT is the one that checks all of that with SHPO. So we're just going to be providing the DOT the information. They go through that process and then they'll let us know if there's any issues.
Yes.
So what we need to put together for the DOT, please. Yep.
Heather,
Yes,
I'm sorry, is there court tonight?
no, but I normally,
She's the court clerk.
or no? Pardon me?
This is open to the public.
This part, yeah,
Yes, that's fine. This is her scheduled time to work.
okay. Okay,
Go ahead.
sorry, Dan.
No, that's okay. Okay, so those are the items that are in progress. And then at the bottom of my list here, the 2 things that we would need from the town. Tonight, thoughts on the alternatives. You don't have to give final decisions of anything that nature. It's just a discussion. The other item I wanted to check on is, Joe, if you recall, and everybody who was at the kickoff meeting with DOT, if you recall, there is a resolution needed from the town on seeker. We
Yes.
believe that this would be a type 2 action, but that is the town board that has to make that determination. So it would be documents that we want to put in our design report. It doesn't have to be done right at the moment, but we will need that paperwork at some point here before this design report can be considered final.
Okay. And we're saying it's a type 2 action.
Yes, it would be our opinion that it would fall under type 2 action, but that's for the board to decide as we look through it. Okay, so that's kind of the itinerary of where we stand. Before we get into schedule, I think we can probably skip over to the maps so we can explain what we're talking about for a project here.
Can I get a copy of that you just added for me?
All right, so on the maps, there should be a total of 4 sheets here. The first sheet is just the existing conditions. This is the survey showing you the information of what is in the project area. On the center of the page, you can see where the existing structure is, the various landowners on each side of it, and the county road is running kind of left to right on the page. So the second sheet And this is what we call a typical section. This is if you were to cut the road that we're gonna build, the sections of the road that we're gonna build, you cut it in half, pick it up and take a look at what we're building, that's what you're seeing. This would be important for Joe, and of course, this would be something that you can talk to us about. The pavement thicknesses that we're using here, this is just typical for what gets used most of the time in Dutchess County. 1.5 a top, 2 of binder, and we are going to put a base course in, 3 inches of base, and then sub base would be 12 inches of true number 1, number 2 type material. Guide rail where it's needed because we are on a bridge, so there'll be the rail, and then the rail will taper off on each sides of it. And then what's shown off to the sides is just backup material, which is usually a stone along the back of the shoulder, and then any embankment and soil that's needed to tie everything out. So that's basically
Just
what's
a
shown.
question for you, Joe. At the last board meeting you talked about, because of 44 being shut down and they using Sub-Herd and some of the culverts and the little bridges, you were saying that many of the bridges in town aren't weight capacity signage, right?
Well, they haven't been actually found what their weight capacity is, so I'm not gonna put up signs until we do.
So that would correspond to what we would be doing down here as far as putting up what type of vehicle can go over this particular bridge. Or does that affect the type of blacktop and stuff that goes on it as far as weight capacity?
No. No, this is gonna be, what is
This is HO, this is 93. This is going to be
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
known to man can go over top of this. Will
is
be
not
built
gonna really
strong.
need anything like that, anything can go over, including the truck that backs up over it every day full of milk.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So like
That's the whole idea of it.
the dam, the line for Tropic, that's existing.
Yes.
And we're just matching that.
Correct. Yep.
It's on the smaller side.
Yeah, you have approximately a 20-foot width. It varies a tad bit here and there, but there's approximately 20 foot of asphalt there. So what we're looking at is 2 9-foot
Yeah.
travel lanes, a white line, and then shoulders beyond it. So the next page, which is 203, this is, I should explain first that there are technically 3 alternatives. The first alternative, it is a part of this process. We always have to consider what is called the null alternative. What if you do not do this project? What happens? You have to show a comparison that the existing, basically what we're saying is that the existing structure would then have to be repaired and tried to be made to last as long as it possibly can, but it is very structurally deficient, so it's not the best to go with. We always have to explain that. There's no maps for it, but it gets called out as alternative 1. Alternative 2 is to replace the structure in its current alignment. So exactly where the structure is today is where a new one would go. What alternative 2 requires is closing the road. That would mean you would have to have a detour during construction for people to go around.
And on that point, I think it was a 6.5 mile detour using Oak Summit and
Going up
Canby, and then what was the other route over there?
It's not 82, is it, that goes north and south on that section, right?
No,
You know,
it
you're-
must
Is it
you're trying-
82?
You're
Yeah.
trying to get back, well, you're actually going back to 343.
Yeah, kind of going back to
That's
3.
what you're doing.
Yeah, and then coming back around to get to the north end.
I mean, you're getting back on 82.
Big loop.
The people that live there are gonna go back to 82,
Mhm.
all right? And then they're gonna go north or south.
Right.
Okay? But they wouldn't be going on there except for to go the southern route anyway, most of them.
Right.
Others would be turning up Canby,
Yeah.
heading,
Yeah.
when heading east, actually.
So that would have to be programmed as part of alternative 2, alternative 2. One of the nice things about alternative 2, you're building in the roadway that you already have right now. There are colored lines that are shown on the plan. They have TE in them. That stands for temporary easement. So those are the 2 easements that would be needed. And then to the, it would be the east of the road, but it's the bottom of the page. There's a sliver of a red line that says fee on it. That is property acquisition, and that's a very small amount. Right.
Just on the Dixon side, there. Just
Correct.
on the one side.
Yeah.
Yeah, 290 square feet is what's shown here.
Mhm.
Don't be, we're not married to those numbers. They can shift a little bit, but right now that line as it's shown is 295 square feet of land would have to be legally acquired. And then alternative 3, this is a option to realign Oak Summit Road. The benefit of this is no detour. Oak Summit Road can remain open. Traffic can go on the existing bridge while the new bridge is being constructed right next to it. So there's no detour whatsoever. And then when the new structure and the new section of the road is built, we flip-flop construction and the existing structure is demoed at the end. And traffic would be switched over to where the new structure
How
is.
much of a shift is that road?
So I'm not sure we have an exact scale.
So you're bringing it more east than,
Bringing it more east,
West.
to be more perpendicular with
okay.
the county
So what
road.
do? You build a temporary bridge?
No, you
No,
don't.
No, we
it's there
built-
now.
Yeah,
Okay, use the one there is now, and
You
you
build
use
this and then
this.
move it down.
well, yeah, it wouldn't be moved. It wouldn't be moved. It
No,
was,
but
yeah,
they shift the road.
they just
down.
shift the traffic.
Then they tear the old one down.
No, still,
So the new would be built before the old is taken out.
Right.
Leave the old there for the detour.
but then,
purposes.
oh, so you would buy the property to the
Yes.
east?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep, you buy
I know.
it. Yep. So that is a larger fee and temporary easement. Alternative 3, it is just shy of 6,000 square feet of land.
But you don't shut the road down.
You don't shut the road down.
So what are your projected timelines between the two? If that road needs to be shut down, on alternative number 2, how long of a shutdown is that?
The type of structure you have that exists there cannot be cut in half where you can have one lane running and the other. It has to be a total closure. The total closure is probably at least 3 months,
3 months.
at least. It might be
If
more.
it's the section, if it's selection 3,
There's no, right. there's-
no, it's just you begin construction and everybody keeps going on the old road and
Correct.
then you flip it.
Correct.
So the time on that would be how long? To build the new one and then flip it?
The total amount of construction time will be approximately the same. The time flipping traffic might be a day. So there might be a day of interruptions to flip traffic from one side to the other when they finalize what they do on the paving to connect the two roads. But it basically is a day closure potentially or 3
But the
months.
project
Of course.
estimate is 3 months.
The total construction will be the entire season of 2026, but there'll probably be 3 months where traffic would be completely closed
Right.
off in a detour. Yeah.
So in number 3, we would purchase the land and keep the land.
Yes,
We would need to keep it.
correct.
So how long of a process is that to buy land?
Well, let me interrupt you for a minute, Joe. We tried to buy, when Mr. Dixon was
Right, he was in the
alive,
window.
we tried to buy the
Just the
land
corner.
to redo the bridge.
Yeah.
And then keep the traffic up, and he wouldn't.
He wouldn't
do
budge.
it
He's
himself.
going up.
So I don't even know if his wife is still, I
think
don't
it's-
even know who owns it
I think it's the
anymore.
daughters are involved or something.
One daughter, he only has one. daughter. So it's maybe the daughter.
So, I mean, can we force a sale of land or we have to ask? them?
So with this type of project and with this type of funding, we have to follow the Uniform Act, which is it is a regimented way in which you go through land acquisitions. The specialist that we have who works at Barton LaJudas has done this for many, many years. There's a full process where we would go through, we would figure out what is the total amount of land, we map it, and then we project how much does that actually cost. You go through a process of notifying the landowners, you explain everything, you give them the proper amount of time. There is what's called just compensation, where the amount of money that would be equated to what you're taking. We have appraisals and then we have another set where everything is checked. So there's a whole process of figuring out exactly what the fair value is.
Mhm.
And then that's part of the offer. And that offer goes to the landowner. I should mention the same exact thing happens for the easements. You figure out the exact worth of what those easements are. They go through that process. when the landowner is notified, they have that chance to agree, and I believe it's a 90-day window that they have the chance to agree. If we go beyond the 90-day window, we go and, just politely ask if there was any thought, if they want to consider. After that, the town then has to make a decision as to what you can do, the next steps after that. If what you're trying to get to is that EDPL, which is eminent domain, can be used if the town wants to go that route, but it's part of the, it's part of what you'd have to
So
consider.
Dana, as a courtesy, before we would make the decision on whether we're doing 2 or 3, would it not be good neighbor policy to meet with the owner and explain to them ahead of time?
We have to do
Or
it.
no?
We have to do it through the process, and Barton LaJudas and particularly Jim Delory, who works at Barton LaJudas.
So we make the decision on which style we're picking. Then we approach the landowner
No,
and
we
say,
don't. We don't approach.
No, but
the person
we
who's
gotta
hired is
take
going to follow
property.
this.
So somehow they gotta be communicated with.
That's
Yeah.
what they,
That's
yeah.
done
That's
through
you guys.
somebody
Yes.
else.
Yep.
Right, but
Yep.
that happens after we make the decision on which policy we choose.
It's going to happen. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen because the incidental schedule, there's going to be contact, there's going to be notification. Jim goes out and meets with everybody. This is
Okay.
going to be explained and the maps will be shown
Okay.
to the landowners before the offers are there. So there is an initial conversation and an initial talk. The exact timeline of when that occurs, I can't tell you if it's next week or a month from now, but there's going to be that process.
Okay.
The other part where the public would know is one item we have to talk about later. We do have to do a public information meeting.
Yes.
So everybody's invited. It would be very good. This is a part where it would be okay for the town if there are particular people you want to make sure are responding and
Yep.
showing up. That's when you could invite those neighbors. I would advise you, don't talk about the particulars until everything is ironed out,
Yeah.
but you can definitely make sure that these folks that live right around the bridge are invited. We would be explaining the potential acquisitions at the public information meeting. So they would hear it right from us too.
So how long from start to finish? Because, we do have a time constraint.
Yep. It really depends on willingness of neighbors on the part of the acquisition. The incidental phase. Yeah, the incidental phase will be ready by the end of the year, and then we go into the mapping, and after that is the offer letters and negotiations. So it looks like July
July
of
that we would-
2025.
that we would know,
You would have offers out to the folks for the land.
and they have 90 days after that.
Correct. They would have 90 days to respond.
So we're talking fall.
Fall would be the latest, yeah.
Okay. How much more is it from this scenario, 3 to 2 in comparison, price wise?
I cannot say until we have actual appraisals. I won't know what those numbers are until the appraisals.
Do you
are
have
done.
So it's just the
construction-
land.
Do you have construction costs besides the land?
Oh, construction costs? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Were you talking about the acquisition costs? or
No, I was
construction?
talking about the project stage.
Okay, yes.
It's in your-
So that's in the, yeah, that's in the,
It's probably in there, but you can tell me off the bat, right?
numbers for construction out there.
It's in 2 and
These were the difference between the structures though.
These are the structures, not the total.
Not the alignment.
Okay, so
And those are just strictly structure costs themselves, not roadway.
Okay, that's fine.
all right, you're gonna see about 1 to 1.1 million in total construction.
Okay, so 1,
1 million to 1.1 million in total
so
construction,
1.1 would be the difference between.
approximately off the top, off the cuff. I only have a structure
Okay,
cost, yeah.
All right, that's not too bad, actually. It's not a make or break figure, so. Yeah.
Right, so those will be the differences, and what the design report is meant to do is to display what all of those costs are, to display what the differences are, and then to give that information over so that a alternative can be chosen.
All right,
So those are the the alternatives, the maps. Are there any other questions for move on to schedule?
Sure.
So the main items that I wanted everybody to kind of focus in on for the schedule are highlighted. And I'm going to start with those first before diving into any of the other particulars. So the first critical date that we're going to approach is design approval. This might sound a little odd, but the town is the one who's going to be, the sponsor gives design approval. We're going to go through all of the reviews at DOT. We're going to get the design report to a point at which it's ready to be signed. We're going to get all of the memos together that give approval, but essentially the town approves the design, the sponsor approves the design. At that point, you will have picked which of the two alternatives, build alternatives that we're going to go with, and however your process is, whether you need to go through a motion, whether the town board gives a particular officer the authorization to sign for that, whatever your process is, sometime in May of next year is when that is likely going to occur.
Okay.
All of the items that we have to do to get to that point is get this design report together, get it to DOT for multiple reviews, get it to the point where DOT has no more comments and is okay with us moving forward.
And
with
you
it.
want our choice to be in there before you
Before
send
May.
it?
Before
you send it?
May. No, the draft design report doesn't usually call out the
Okay.
selected
Because it's
alternative.
gonna take them a minute to approve that.
It's going to take them a bit. Yes. Yeah, I have two programmed reviews in here. I have the initial review for 30 days, which is going to be in January. And I have a subsequent review, March and April.
Okay.
So I'm expecting that it's going to take some time for them to get everything wrapped and we have to address any comments they have. So the first critical item is likely going to occur in May. And we can, if that schedule shifts to June, whatever it might be, but that will be the first action that I'll need the town to move forward with.
Okay.
Because when we have the design approvals and everything is okay with DOT, we're allowed to move into the next phases, which is the advanced design. We're also allowed to move into right-of-way acquisitions. So no offers can be made until you have approved the design.
Okay.
And we receive the authorization to move into acquisitions. So that would occur sometime in.
But we need to pick one or two before we
Yep.
approve the design.
Correct.
Now, how can we do that if we don't know whether the landowner will part with the land or not? If we decide for
Then
number two.
They're gonna
you're
part
presenting
with the
it.
land one way or the
Once you
other.
choose it, they're not gonna know if we're gonna take that amount of land. If you choose number one or two, as it were, then it's not as significant as if you choose the other. So it's the horse before the cart.
They're going to be aware of it through public information meetings. They're going to be aware of it through initial contact. The only item that they're not going to have is the actual, here is the offer that you signed. That they won't have, but they will be aware of it before you would make that decision because of the other items we have to do, especially the public information meeting.
Okay,
Some of these questions might get answered at the public information meeting.
yeah,
If this person shows up and sticks their feet in the ground and says,
Right.
we're not gonna
And the
sell
right.
anything to you.
And that public information meeting is kind of meant for getting that feedback. The other public information meetings that we've done, we've allowed public, 30-day comment period, send in your comments, you have other conversations. If something were to come up, let's just say, we'll be arbitrary about it. Let's say that a comment was made that the bridge must be green. Okay, it's an arbitrary comment, it must be green, and everybody talks about it and everybody decides, you know what, that is a great suggestion, we want to do it. You tell us, we're now making the bridge green. That is the point of the public input section. So if that comes through that process, we change. Maybe then it is alternative 2 and not alternative 3 through that public process. So just understand that that's there.
gotcha.
Okay, so after that design approval, we will be moving into all of our true designs where we're going to put together all of the plans that go to construction. There's 2 phases, advanced detailed plans and then plans specification estimate, which we abbreviate as PS&E. There are DOT reviews that will occur on those, making sure that the plans are up to snuff and that they're the way that they need to be to go out to construction. And then we'll get into the point where we're ready to go to bid. So the next highlighted item is advertisement. That is when the plans, the specifications, and the estimates are complete, and we are ready to put this out on the street to start getting bids. That advertisement date, as it stands right now, is in January of 2026. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is your Bridge New York funding has to move to this phase before May 1st of 2026. You have a 24-month window. So the way the schedule works out, we'll be well in advance of that because we'll be hitting the streets with a project in January 2026 with 5 months to spare. You go through the whole process of doing a bid opening, which will take place at the end of January, beginning of February of 2026, according to the schedule. And then the last item that I want to draw everybody's attention to at the bottom, pre-con meeting, that is officially the beginning of your construction, which would be April of 2026. And then construction would likely take that entire season, close up in the fall, and you're all done.
Now, is there a choice of design of the bridge? You have,
Yep, we can go through that.
what's
So I won't go through I won't go through every page of the structural justification report. It is there for documentation. It's there for anybody at DOT that reviews. And of course, anybody here who wants to, read through it and understand the technical aspects of why we chose what we chose. It basically comes down to two types of bridges that we reviewed through. Yep.
Well, I can see it from here.
The first one was the fixed frame, and then the second one is a voided slab. Without too many technical details of what this means, they're both concrete structures. One, the fixed frame, comes in pieces, which I think part of those pictures you see each one of the pieces, right? So the foundation is laid first, and then each one of those pieces by crane is brought in. The second one, there are two abutments. Those are the ends of the bridge that support the bridge. And then voided slabs are pieces of precast concrete that are laid down as decking. So you build up two abutments and then you lay down the pieces as decking. As part of our analysis, we determined that the fixed frame was the better of the two choices for this particular site. Also, based on the economics, the fixed frame is slightly less expensive than the voided slab. One of the other things that was a leading reason why we would go with the fixed frame, the voided slab, if you looked at the side of the bridge, is much thicker, and the headroom that we need for the water to pass underneath was going to be challenged. We can't really raise the elevation of the road. So the structure itself, we need a thinner structure, and that fixed frame structure allows for it. So the water that has to pass through was a component of our decision making.
You're talking about the 1,000-year storm or 100-year
Yes, storms, yes, yep.
So the voided slab would have to be longer because of its.
If we went with that, it would definitely have to be longer, and then that creates a little bit of a problem. The
Yep.
longer the span, the
Yep.
thicker the pieces get, so you run into that problem too.
So I have another question. A long time ago, we were told at some point, somewhere along the way, that once we do this bridge, we may have to improve anything downstream from this bridge. Does that still come into play here?
Not necessarily. Where I would just return. Do you know what was the?
Well, years ago, when we talked about this bridge and we actually started looking into replacing this bridge, we had talked to the landowner to buy some land from him to put the bridge up, leave the old one, then take the old one down, and do plantings and stuff like that. And then we were told either by the county or the state or somebody that you had to, because it's a class something stream, you need to improve anything that's within a mile and a half, 2 miles or something downstream.
I don't know about that. I would say that the two bridges there that are the county bridges, the one that's downstream, I think is newer than the one that's
I
upstream.
think there's
Well,
discussion.
the one on 82 is new.
The one downstream is gonna be the driveway culvert. That's
Right.
Oh, the
Yeah.
driveway culvert, yes, okay.
Yeah. That
Um,
was the big question, I believe.
Right.
right, so in that area, because of the storm, that all of the things that can flood in that area, we can't build a bridge feasibly that would be, that would not get inundated during a 100-year flood. Everything in that whole entire area is inundated. So we have to do the best that we can do with the design criteria that we have. I do not believe under Bridge in New York, there's any obligation to go downstream to any other bridges and
Okay.
have to replace those.
So somebody
So we're
gave
good.
us some bad information. Right.
Potentially, I don't know where the
Tim
information
had
came from.
mentioned down past his driveway where that stream takes the bend,
Yeah,
they had already improved
That's the
the
county.
walls of the
Yeah.
northwest side of the stream
right.
to handle any flood waters that came, and that kind of washed it across the street into his field on the other side.
I think it was the guy's driveway.
It was the
culvert.
driveway.
Yeah, it was the
driveway,
driveway guy that built the berm.
What I can say, at least about the county structures, we work with Dutchess County all the time. Matt DeCavage is well aware of this project going forward, and we
Right.
plan on making sure that they see all of this
Okay.
information and everything as well. So, and I would say that the county was very generous in giving us information that they have, so that we have what we need in the justification in the design report too.
So when, to acquire land and the costs related to it, are we allowed to use the grant money
Yes.
to fund that?
Yep.
Fund,
That should be available to you. You also have, I forget the exact number, but when we did the budget in the application, I think it was $165,000 that the town had said if it was ever needed, that there could be the potential of the town chipping in that.
Mhm.
You're not going to be spending $165,000 on land. Don't worry about that. But whatever it is, it should be able to be within that funding grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question, John.
So
You'll need to know what we decide by,
May.
yeah, there's going to be other steps. The next things that we would need, the thing that I think is most pressing, so we have it within here, is whenever the town can do their secret determination.
Okay.
However, if you go through that, please do
Okay.
that. And then I just need a copy of the resolution. It becomes an
Okay.
appendix.
okay,
After that, we're going to be submitting a draft to DOT, and that's going to be in their hands for January. So the month of January, there's not much for anybody to do. They're gonna
Okay.
go through, and we don't have to have the preferred alternative completely selected. It's just gonna be all the information to go through. It will be the next version that we go through after we do a public information meeting. So public information meeting will likely be in February.
okay, so that we would have that meeting prior to us giving you a.
Correct. You want to hear back from the public. So if we had a public
I see.
information meeting in February and you gave the public
Okay.
30 days to comment, you receive those comments by March, then we're still within a good amount of time for the town to make their preferred alternative decision and
So
create
we
the
should
plan.
schedule that, okay?
Yep.
And then get this done as soon as possible. Okay. Is there anything way of like, if we present this at a meeting, type 2 action, like how would we know to, like, say to inform the public why we're making that decision? Is there a
When we go through
guideline?
the steps.
Yeah, on seeker, I would kind of defer to your process and also your
The
attorney.
attorney.
So
Yeah.
we'll get Joe to do that then.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll email him tomorrow.
So.
Okay,
So from you guys, the seeker would be the main thing, and then it will be coming back here with a presentation wherever you would like to. It can be here, it can be Firehouse, whatever you think the audience that it generates. It doesn't matter to us. We'll be prepared either way. And the discussion at a public information meeting will be a lot of this information. We'll probably have 10 slides of PowerPoint to go through and show.
Your last presentation really was beneficial on the other project.
Killarn, yeah. It won't be as involved,
No.
but it will be similar to that.
Joe, how many residents do you feel would be impacted by this work being done?
Hopefully everyone that, has a concern will show up.
How many people on that road do you think?
Boy,
Oh,
Not that
some
many.
would be the one.
it's not that many, but you may have
People use
other
this to cut
people,
through, Yeah.
just because.
Because that's the road they use.
That's the road they use.
And Union Vale, would they be invited to any presentations?
I would invite them.
I
because
would,
the
I think
town-
we would be notifying them anyway. At some point, I believe that there was some
So-
discussion of that.
I'm not gonna, I won't trump anything that your
Yeah.
attorney would say, but
Yeah.
you're right on that line.
Yeah.
And I think that there would be
Because
potential.
even when we were looking at it years ago, we were in communication with Union
Yeah.
Vale.
I believe we spoke about that at some point to
Right.
notify the town.
Also, alternative two would have a detour through.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And then, as far as just talking about other involved agencies, the county is aware, but it is a county road. So as
Yep.
far as doing all of your appropriate contacts.
At this public info in February, would you have, say, presentations on the difference between the MP and maintenance protection and traffic plan? Like the detours and not.
It won't be a full detailed design of it, but we would show mapping to show what those
To
detours
show,
look like.
yeah. And to show like the point of like the 6 mile difference of,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the reason we're choosing a certain bridge and not the other.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, basically the public information meeting just presents the pros and cons to each of those alternatives and just explains what the next steps are and lets the public know that they have this chance to provide comment.
Mhm.
So somewhat similar to what we did with Killen Road.
Just hypothetical. What type of impact, if any, would be on that farmer who's there that has that milk delivery at least twice a day?
I think that they would probably have, just knowing how many times we saw their vehicles going back and forth while we were out there, if they don't have an alternative way to
Mhm.
move around
They
the
don't.
property.
Well,
Okay,
they have to take a little ride to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it,
Yeah,
but it's not beyond
Right.
reason. They
So-
go up to the top, there's a little road that goes off to the side, actually is a horseshoe, comes off and back on. They can easily make that.
yeah, so I would say there's a potential. It could definitely come up as a comment and it would just be something to
well,
discuss.
Tim's
at that
really amenable to what we do, but it will be a conversation that will come up.
So, and that plus all of the residents that live there and anybody else who chooses to use the road, is a reason why we would want to, at least provide the alternative where we're moving the structure off to the side.
And that
keeping the
guy
road
with his, the resident with his own driveway bridge over the stream into his house. I can anticipate him anticipating that there's gonna be problems with his property.
Yep, I would, so, I mean, if I were asked that question, like, okay, there's gonna be problems with the property, you're making all of the areas bigger. One of the things to point out is that in a 100-year storm, the whole area is inundated.
Yeah.
It
Whether I
has
have a,
been before.
right, whether I have a bridge
Oh,
there
yeah,
or
it's
not,
been
it's-
over.
Yeah, so,
Both sides of the road.
right,
Yeah, I think when we ran the hydraulics, we don't even clear the 50.
right.
That's,
We're-
that's in your report, it's 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Those are
It's a
the,
difficult-
that and the
it's a
guy in the
difficult
corner are the ones that I think are probably make most of the comment. Whoever's representing the property on the
The
corner.
Dixons.
And that might be the gentleman that just left.
Yeah, I suspect it
Probably,
is.
yeah.
And that's the only reason.
I was gonna ask
Whatever.
him.
Yeah,
That's
Doesn't
why I
make any
thought it
difference.
was more, all of a sudden the lawyers were showing up.
well, it happens on.
Anyway,
happens on-
Well, he's being a good,
Yeah.
good attorney.
Actually, when I went to speak with Mr. and Mrs. Dixon,
That was 2 years ago.
oh, longer than
Longer than that.
Yeah. Mrs. Dixon was actually okay with
It was him.
giving up some land.
He stood in the freaking window watching us.
Well, because it's his farm is
Oh,
100 years old
absolutely,
and,
absolutely.
and he kept it like a, you
Yeah.
know, so you can see that place was always.
There wasn't a
ridiculously
stick on the
kept.
ground.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
quite a
good.
guy. He was quite a
It's a
guy.
beautiful piece of property.
Yeah. But,
I understand that those conversations are always delicate. We have a process that we definitely have to follow. One of the
Yeah.
important reasons why it has to be followed is, if things move to what we call EDPL, if they move to
Yeah.
eminent domain, you have to follow that process. You
Yes.
cannot break that process. So,
Would the school district be someone that should be at that information meeting because they do have school buses that run those roads?
as part of any detour and that pre-planning for construction, we have to make everybody aware
Yeah.
of those components. I would, that's up to you. I don't know the particulars of the
Like a
school district.
notify.
And yeah,
That's
so
not fun.
if they want to know.
Yeah,
Yeah, just tell the school guys.
no, I call the bus service. They'll tell them.
I don't think the county bus goes in there though.
No,
They don't, they say on 82.
I don't think so.
Well, I think of it, one thing to consider as well, within the grant funding, other than that extra 165,000, that was that line item, there was not a particular line item for going to EDPL, and usually Bridge New York does not.
Okay.
Bridge New York does occasionally have to do acquisitions, but going into eminent domain usually is not within what.
So it would be
what
our
happens.
responsibility.
It's not within the contract, it's not within this, but if you had to move to that,
Even,
section, it's-
the small amount for, alternative
One.
two.
so that's a very
Awesome.
interesting, yeah. If we came down to that property or EDPL,
The small amount.
yeah, we would have to
I'm using
really
two
look at
because
it.
of your,
Yeah.
Did we look at U-walls if we had to tuck those in walls in?
We could. I set that up originally to be the best hydraulic structure that we possibly could have.
So there is an
There
alternative
is a way we could go and
There's a
shut those
spec.
wing walls in.
and get rid of the fee.
Yeah.
The temporary easements are tough because it's really hard to construct around those
Yep.
areas.
Yep.
Not having permission, I would hate to go to EDPL for any
I
kind
know.
of, that we wouldn't do, but it's a problem if we
Yep.
can't be physically on that property
I
to just
understand.
walk.
Well, that's temporary.
Yeah, and that might be more digestible for the home.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Right.
As per the other one, which is permanent.
Yeah.
Does, you guys probably know this, eminent domain, does that become a court procedure?
It is, yes, the final part
A
of
judge
that is
then
up.
adjudicates that?
Correct.
Okay.
If we were to go into that route, an attorney through Barton LaJudas would be hired. They would have to go through all of that, those items. They would do everything according to the Uniform Act and everything according to the law. And stuff goes, it's a 90-day process through the courts. And as long as everything is given the A-OK, it gets filed. And
So that's an additional 90 days on top, or is it concurrent?
that would be additional. Yeah,
Well-
you would want to avoid
Yeah.
EDPL.
Absolutely.
so it sounds like to me, Joe, that we would,
Started number two, but we're not making those decisions. That's what you're
No,
coming on with.
no, what I'm saying is I think once we have a public meeting
Yep,
and we hear what the public, the people that live there have to say about a detour to use, number two, that would, if everybody is okay with doing the detour and tearing the bridge down,
I think that. the
being
thing
down
that-
for 3 to 4 months.
Through the last experience that we just went through.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Especially
what
Central.
happened was, we were detouring a state road onto a town road.
Right.
Now we're gonna be detouring basically the town road
Onto state
onto a
and
state
county.
road, which is not the same type of impact,
Right.
okay?
Right,
You know what I mean?
The flow is not going to be as much.
That's right, and you still have access to every house on the road for deliveries, for oil, for everything. Every house, no house will be impacted except by a 10-minute delay.
Yeah, 6 miles, what is that?
I think it was 15 minutes when we ran
At
it.
the
or
most,
something
yeah.
like that.
You know, depending on where, but. I mean,
And that would be, something we would explain when we were out there for our site visits. I had the guys purposely start from one point, drive yourself all the way around in time.
Yep.
So we saw what it was.
Yep,
okay.
Yeah, so next thing is let us know when the
All right.
resolution for seeker is ready, and then we'll be in conversation with
I'll
you
do that
for,
this
for February.
Okay.
One last item that I'd mentioned for me to talk with Kathleen about, us expecting another child. There'll be a block of time that
Yeah.
I'm not
It'll
at
probably be just
CE for it's a paternity
Oh,
leave.
okay.
Joe is gonna be on all the emails, so any
When is the
communication.
blessed event?
Due date is supposedly January 2nd. We're hoping
Oh,
for a little
nice.
bit earlier.
Okay.
So sometime around Christmas into January, I'll be
Oh, okay.
stepping away for
Nice.
just a little time.
Kathleen,
All right.
this corresponds to the
Congratulations.
grant application, right? All of this information. Do you have a timeline where all of this has to now be reported to the grantee, or do you guys do that? Is there a reporting, is there a mandated reporting to the grantor of where we stand in the process?
Oh, all of our submittals will be that. There is information that DOT does need to keep their schedules, mostly on their financial, to make sure everything still aligns with all the timelines.
That
with the
doesn't
money.
come out of Kathleen's office, that comes out of your office.
Typically, it does come, when they request, it comes from the sponsor. So what
So
would
it'll
happen is
come to me,
Giselle, yeah,
then
Giselle
So
would
it comes
have.
to you.
And-
Call
yep,
you.
yes, That's exactly what happened. Yep.
But as far as everything else, we're on schedule with whomever the grantor is right now.
Yeah, and Lois actually put in for 2 reimbursements.
Oh,
We
good.
finally got that because there was a problem with the EBO site.
Mhm.
And DOT had to work on it.
Not surprised.
So, she just did that. I helped her last
You didn't
week.
even have to warn us of that. We
Oh,
knew- we knew.
Mhm.
All I would say, it's a process, but in the end, it is 1.5 million that is there. So,
Right. Right.
just trust that the process is not
And
finest.
the
but-
two girls working, that we're working with there are very helpful.
Yeah, they're very
so.
helpful. Yeah, exactly. So you just gotta work that process.
I know Lois said at one point, she goes, I don't want to bother her again. I said,
Bother her.
seriously, go. I said, she's really good about that. So,
Yeah. So, and of course, we're here as a resource. If you need any questions answered, we do it enough with other communities as well. So,
And I met with Joe once for Christmas because he's going to be hearing from me.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
And
No
I
problem.
apologize for my tardiness.
That's
I
perfectly
lost
fine.
track of the time. Yeah,